Welcome back to Noob Selling Options, everyone. I am literally so pumped to have you here today because we are diving into a massive, highly anticipated portfolio update. We're going to open up the books, break down the exact numbers, the active holdings, and the upcoming catalyst driving this whole shebang.
Okay, just look at that bottom line. Up $16,625.78. That is the exact unrealized profit we've generated since we totally revamped our strategy over the summer, specifically starting on June 22nd, 2026. And honestly, that June 22nd revamp, it could not have been timed better. We completely structured our capital and, boom, we perfectly caught that sudden crypto surge. It gave us some incredible momentum right out of the gate. Now, if you love this kind of total transparency and want to follow the journey, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps us out so much.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We've got our welcome and revamp recap, the big $169,000 portfolio reveal, exact holdings and percentages, structural weight distribution, the Q4 trio catalyst, and finally, the road to 200K.
Starting off with Section 1, Welcome Back and Revamp Recap, where we look at restructuring our capital. So the absolutely crucial point here is comparing our initial entry capital to where we are right now, just to build that complete trust with you guys. We originally put in $153,305.38. The current grand total, a massive $169,931.16. Our equities and crypto segment is doing the heavy lifting here, up over $17,300. That completely wipes out the tiny $770 dip in our leveraged ETFs. Because let's be real, those rarely go exactly to plan anyway, right?
Moving on to Section 2, the 169K portfolio reveal, checking out our current holdings. Right now, we've got 19 active positions driving that $169,000 total asset value. You can see there's clear diversity, but also a super deliberate concentration in a few key sectors that are really fueling this nearly 11% overall return we're seeing.
Next up, Section 3, exact holdings and percentages. Time for the granular breakdown.
Let's start right at the top of the portfolio and see how this foundation is built. These are our heavy hitters. Now, you might be surprised, but our single largest position is actually our cash reserve, sitting at $20,600, which is just over 12% of the portfolio. Right on its heels is BSOL at 11%, anchoring our crypto ecosystem. Then we've got our mega-cap tech and semiconductor giants lined up: Meta, Intel, ServiceNow, and Broadcom.
Continuing down into our mid-tier holdings, you can really start to see how deeply crypto and tech are woven into this strategy. We've got Tayo Yuden, Bitcoin itself holding really strong at roughly $11,600, right alongside digital asset and infrastructure plays like CRCL, Eidern, and Coinbase. And then we round it all out with SoFi holding it down in the fintech space.
All right, Section 4, structural weight distribution, looking at our macro structure.
So, the most important takeaway here is how these different categories balance each other out. This portfolio leans heavily into big tech and semiconductors, making up exactly 50.1% of our total weight. Crypto and digital assets sit at a really robust 34%. All the while, we're keeping that healthy 12.1% cash reserve on hand as dry powder, and we're strictly limiting our exposure to leveraged instruments to just 3.8%. Honestly, this is exactly how you barbell risk. You protect your capital while leaving yourself exposed to massive upside.
This brings us to Section 5, the Q4 trio catalyst, our end-of-year strategy.
As we head into Q4, we are closely watching for three specific events to unfold. First, a continued crypto climb. Second, a mean reverting bounce in Meta and Broadcom. And third, a semiconductor rotation heavily focusing on Intel and AMD.
Let's actually analyze the estimated likelihood of each of these catalysts firing. For the crypto climb, we're looking at a solid 60 to 65% probability, driven by typical Q4 seasonality and institutional money flowing in. But check out the Meta and Broadcom bounce. We're modeling a highly probable 65 to 70% chance there, fueled by AI ad monetization and just massive hyperscaler capital expenditures. The semi-rotation, well, that's kind of our wild card, sitting at a 35 to 40% likelihood, basically hinging on an incoming PC refresh cycle.
What's truly fascinating about this is how our structural leverage turns those catalysts into raw dollar velocity. A sustained 30% bull run in our high beta crypto assets, that adds over $17,000 right to the portfolio. A 20% valuation reversion in our mega caps adds another $5,600. And if that wildcard semi-rotation hits, we pull in an extra $4,000 to $5,500 on top of that.
Finally, Section 6, the road to 200K, our future pace projection. So what happens if this perfect trio actually unfolds across our risk sleeves? Well, our total portfolio valuation is projected to expand right into the $195,000 to $205,000 range. We are literally sitting on the precipice of breaking that massive psychological 200K threshold.
So, what do you think? Will this trio catalyst actually push us past 200K in Q4? The groundwork is totally laid, the capital is deployed, and now it's just time to execute. If you want to track this crazy road to 200K in real time with us, please hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to Noob Selling Options so you absolutely do not miss our next major update. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and keep learning out there.